What's up, everybody? Hope y'all are doing good. So, y'all, this is like the third time I've had to remake this video. It keeps getting flagged, and I don't know what words I'm using. I cannot figure it out. So, I'm just going to redo it and just try to watch everything I say. But today's video, y'all, was actually on something that I personally have experience in, something that was not so pleasant, and something that I know for a fact that it is something that is very prevalent in today's society that affects a lot of people. Not specifically just men, even though that's my experience being a man. I know for a fact this affects women as well, because I personally know women that have struggled with this as well. And that is body image issues. In society today, we have social media. And I do believe that social media is one of the main key components that is contributing to this kind of like pandemic of people feeling bad about themselves. Mine all started when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. I was going through a stage in life where I was kind of chubby, and it felt like the end of the world then, and people making comments and stuff. You know how kids are. Kids can be so mean sometimes. And also at the same time, kids take everything to heart that you tell them. So, I really took it to heart, internalized it, and it kind of, it was just embarrassing. It sucks getting made fun of when you're a kid. It feels like the end of the world. Now being like 30, I'll be 31 this year. I don't really care anymore. Some of the comments I get on YouTube are downright cruel, and I just laugh them off for the most part. But it's not like that growing up. You're young, your mind is still maturing, brain's still developing, so you have a different reaction to stuff. And being made fun of for my weight for those few years through middle school, it stuck with me for a long time. And even today, y'all, I still struggle with body image issues. It comes in waves, really. Sometimes I feel really good about myself. Sometimes I don't. And like the weight that I am now, y'all, I'm like 100. I fluctuate between 150 and 155 pounds. And I'm like 5'8", 5'9". So, I'm most people have always told me that I was very small and scrawny and skinny and lanky and all those words. But this is the heaviest I've ever been. But y'all, even me, I get on social media. It doesn't matter what it is: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I get on there, and, I see so much content that is pushed specifically towards men, especially, women too. All these beauty standards that you have to follow, or that you need to follow if you really want to look good. These companies like that feed off the insecurity of people like me. I finally have gotten to where I can look past a lot of that, and I don't fall for it. But there's people out there that they don't know any better. They're so lost in their head about the way they look, and, wanting to be loved and accepted. And, they fall victim to it, and companies like that prey on people who have these issues like this. And, it's very, it's pretty sick. It's pretty disgusting. And I know from experience, because, when I was like a teenager, y'all, I was like 16 when I finally really went through a big weight loss. It was from 9th grade to 10th grade in high school through that summer. And through that summer, y'all, I lost, I think, like 60 pounds in a course of like 3 months. Basically, I just was not taking care of myself. I was not doing the correct, proper, and healthy way to lose weight. I was doing things that, I thought I was doing good, but looking back, I was hurting my body really bad. But, it's like the more weight I lost, even though while I was losing the weight, y'all, I felt horrible. I had no energy. I was hungry all the time. I just felt real low, real depressed. Not eating was affecting my hormones. But it's like when I would go to get on the scale and see that I lost more weight, it's like I would get almost like a rush off of that, like an adrenaline rush, and be like, oh yeah, oh, that's awesome. And it would fuel me to keep going and to lose more and more. It's like it was never enough, and when I graduated high school, y'all, in 2012, I was 127 pounds. I wore a size 27 or 28 in the waist. I was teeny tiny. And even then, y'all, I still was looking for ways to get smaller again. I still thought that I was overweight, even though people were telling me, you are so small, or, they're like, why do you keep losing weight? Or they would say, your face is looking so small. And a lot of people would take that as an insult. They would be like, why does people keep complimenting on my weight loss? Or, do they think I look, do I think I look bad or something? But to me, that was a compliment, and I was loving it. And so I just kept on and on and on. And then finally one day, I don't really know what happened, y'all. It's just like I snapped and it broke, and it just got to the point where it was dragging me down so low, and it had overtaken my life, that I was like, I have to let this go. And, through a lot of therapy, through a lot of visits to the psychiatrist, medications, I actually, I was able to realize that I had something going on that was not normal, that was not healthy. And what's so bad about situations like that, y'all, is there's so many people out there, especially, this is really, really speaking for the men, because, things like this for us is not talked about as much as women. And, it very, very much exists. I've seen it with other people. I've been through it myself. It's not talked about enough. There's this thing in society, too, that men are just supposed to be emotionless, or that men don't have any pressure to look a certain way. And that's such baloney. I mean, that is complete garbage, because society today is they're so hung up on the visuals of stuff, very just visual creatures. On everything should look a certain way, anything, even human beings, they don't look at the inside, they look at the outside. And if you don't look a certain way, well, then you're considered ugly, or you don't weigh a certain amount or have a certain body type, you're considered unattractive. And that really puts people in kind of a shitty mindset, I know. And, that's just terrible. And the fact that it's like the people that are falling for this, to me, are also some of the people that are pushing it on others. And I don't think they realize what they're doing. I think to them, in their mind, because this was how I thought, was once I attain this certain image or this certain goal, I will be happy. I will be satisfied. I will be fulfilled in life. But the thing about that is absolutely not true at all. Y'all, I reached almost every single goal I set for myself with my body, from losing weight to gaining muscles and toning up and, achieving certain styles and looks. And let me tell you right now, when I achieved it, maybe for a week or so, I was on cloud nine. I was happy. I was satisfied. But it goes away. It is not a long-lasting form of happiness. So, my advice to anybody that is dealing with something like that is you cannot act out of self-hate, because doing stuff like that to your body and hating yourself because of your image, and that's the reason why you want to change it, is going to lead you into a pit of depression. That's all I can say. That's exactly what it done to me. When I finally changed my mindset about that, and I started taking care of my body out of acts of self-love, it was coming from a place of self-love. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to be healthier. I wanted to live a longer lasting life. And when I started acting out of that, exercising for those reasons, eating healthy for those reasons, that brought me so much more joy and happiness. My life was way more fulfilled, because you feel so different, y'all, every day when you wake up, when you love yourself. And, when you wake up every day hating yourself, you're miserable. I mean, that's the nicest way I can put it. You're absolutely freaking miserable. And nobody should live their life like that. And, I just hope that one day, y'all, we are able to look at television or get on our phones and look at social media and, not be bombarded with all this nonsense of how you should look, or, that your whole self-worth is based on your body or, your style or, anything like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. We're all human beings. In my mind, in my opinion, we all have a soul. That is who we truly are. And that is, the true essence of us. It's not how we look. It's not if you're 150 pounds versus 250 pounds. Yes, I absolutely think people should take care of themselves and not become so obese that they're on their deathbed. But, there should be a good, healthy balance between wanting to look a certain way and, wanting it because of, not really for vain reasons, but for health reasons. Does that make sense? Sometimes some of this stuff, y'all, I try to give examples, and I know what I want to say, but I have such a hard time. I can't help it. My poor mind goes 100 miles an hour. So, but yeah, guys, that's what I wanted to talk about today. This kind of whole message came to me just the other day about looking on social media and scrolling through there. I kept getting so many ads about this weight loss stuff, and I was like, what the heck? And it was just all these pictures of these people that had like these unattainable results, and they were making you think that's what you would look like. Oh my God, it's such a load of shit. And, the old me would have fell for that and would have ordered everything. So, people that are, they're in that mindset, God help them, because they really do need saving. And they will realize how much happier they'll be once they leave that old way of thinking behind. So, guys, thank y'all so much for watching this video today. I'm right at 10,000 subscribers. I have been lingering right under it for the past few weeks, and it is really, really stressing me out, because reaching 10,000 subscribers, in only 2 years on YouTube is pretty wild, and I'm very thankful for that. So, guys, thank y'all so much for everything. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back shortly with another video. Love you guys. Bye.